Hi, this is Asim.
This is Sujoy.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast about the three main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Amir,
Salman,
And Shahrukh.
Hi, you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandaan podcast.
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan Podcast. My name is Asim Bernie and I'm joined with my lovely co-host Amrita and Sujoy. Hey Amrita, hey Sujoy.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
We have a new episode. We're talking about a lot of the things that we've been watching. I got a chance to attend the screening of Kennedy here at the London Film Festival. London Indian Film Festival. I was thinking I was almost right. So I'm going to be talking about that. And they had a Q&A with Anurag Kashyap. The Dunki teaser has dropped, so we want to talk about that. But let's start first with KOFFEE with Karan Season 8, Episode 2, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. The Deols, Booby and Sunny came on. Amrita, what did you think of this episode?
I didn't watch it. Why would I watch it?
You didn't watch it? You just totally skipped it?
Why would I watch Sunny and Bobby Deol? What is this? 1995? No, thank you.
I came in with such a smooth segue to Amrita and she just blocked me. She podcast dick blocked me.
Highlight out of the conversation.
I've already ruined my entire weekend watching Janasheen. I'm not gonna give the Deols also the pleasure. No way in hell.
Okay. Sujoy, what did you think? You did watch it, right?
I did watch it. I watched it opening night after midnight when it starts streaming on Hotstar. I was waiting for the episode to drop. No, I wasn't waiting. I just saw Karan Johar promote it on his Instagram, and I saw that the episode was dropped. So I watched it, and it was quite a breezy episode. I thought, the conversation was flowing, and I don't think I've actually seen a Sunny Deol interview in a very, very, very long time.
Yes.
I've seen Bobby Deol talk a lot since his comeback and stuff, but not a Sunny Deol one. So it was interesting to see his sort of view of the industry as of now, and then obviously post Gadar 2 success party and all of that, which I didn't know that was a thing that happened. So I got to know that, and also the cameos from his family. All the boys of the Deol family came to revere each other.
Only the boys count.
Exactly. It was kind of a heartfelt one. I thought, I don't think the Deols can actually fake emotions. I felt the apne feeling that this episode had.
Yeah. Amrita, would you have watched it if there was no Gadar 2? Would you have then watched the episode or no?
No.
No, still?
I literally don't care. It's as simple as that.
Interesting. I actually thought this was a really good episode, to be honest. I really enjoyed it. I think obviously with Gadar 2, I have complicated feelings about Sunny Deol at the moment. But I think a lot of watching this interview, it also made me realize that Sunny is a star of that era, that the movies don't really matter. They're so they gave him this movie, he wanted to do it, it's gonna make a lot of money, so he made it. I don't feel he has necessarily any connection with the art he makes. It's just a business, right? And I thought that was kind of interesting. And the thing is with Sunny also, Gadar 2 is a hateful movie, but I really enjoyed all of his career before that, a lot of it, except if you take out the Border and the Gadars, a lot of it I've enjoyed, so many of his other movies. And there is a connection that I have with Sunny Deol, and he kind of fell off. And he talked about that in on the episode, that The first Gadar was kind of the pinnacle of his success, but also was kind of the end of his career. Like
Mhm.
after that, he was just basically struggling. Um, I also I do enjoy this dynamic where Karan Johar cannot be the alpha in his own interview, and he has to become kind of like the beta in a way, and that is like both Bobby and Sunny were giving that vibe of tu line mein rahe Karan, so and Karan did well. He stayed within the lines that were drawn for him. I also really liked the portions with Dharmendra. So
Mhm.
they had the videos of Dharmendra and like talking about Bobby and Sunny, and that was quite emotional. I felt like Bobby and Sunny both were crying just hearing here, but it's such a desi dad thing, right? Like he'll never say these things directly to his sons, but he will say it on camera in front of all of India that he's proud of them, basically. So that was kind of sweet.
The highlight of the episode was when Dharam said, like, I try to scold my son Bobby, but he's chalu.
Yeah,
That he drinks, but I can't scold him because I used to drink a lot
yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Yeah.
And also, like, instead of having like a quiz about other stars, which clearly the Deos did not want to do that in the same way, they did have a rapid fire, but they had the quiz was about Dharam's stories and his movies. And that
Yeah.
was kind of cool that they knew so much about them. And it made
Yeah.
me think about, if somebody would quiz me about my dad, like none of the stories would have that much detail or accuracy. They
Yeah.
would like, his father has been in the press and stuff like that, so you know accurately what things happen and when they happen and how they happen. Like, there's no way I could do that. Like, I could not answer my dad like when he came to this country or when he did that. So kudos on them to being fans of their father. A lot of mentions of Salman on this episode too. Um, just how he supported them, and he's kind of such a fanboy of Dharmendra, something that we all know if we've seen, Divangi and Rafta
Yeah.
Rafta and all that. Like, Salman is definitely, or even Pyar Kiya To Darna Kya. Like, he's a huge, Dharmendra fan, and it shows. Um, and also, one surprising thing that Sunny Deol in his life, and Amrita, this will not surprise you, but I just found it surprised that he expressed it in this way. Sunny Deol said, I have never read an entire script in my life.
Shocking.
He only goes on narration, basically. So, yeah, that was and also, I thought Sunny was quite unfiltered about his opinions about other stuff because he feels, I'm above them, I'm above Shahrukh,
Mhm.
I'm above Salman, so I can just basically say what I want to say. And that was kind of a cool vibe, I thought. He even called out Akshay a little bit about releasing Oh My God 2 on the same day as Gadar 2.
Mhm.
Oh,
Uh,
what did he say?
well, just that they had a conversation about not releasing it on the same day. It was like, like I've not had like a Gadar come out in so many years, in 20 years. It's a big thing for me. It's very important, this movie. Can you do something and maybe delay? It will hurt each other for no reason. And Akshay basically said, I can't do anything. It's a studio release and I don't have a hand in when it's going to be released. So Sunny Deol basically said, okay, that's it. Which I'm assuming that means that's not it, and I'm still pissed off at you. But
Yeah.
but yeah. So yeah, that was basically
Did Karan bring up the fact that Sunny's broke and needed this thing to work so that he could pay off his loans?
no, like I said, line mein tha. Like, he didn't deviate at all. Didn't ask anything that would be even moderately disrespectful or like juicy or anything like that. He tried a few times, like with this innuendo kind of thing that he does, but like Bobby and Sunny were not playing it, and so yeah, there was none of that. Nothing juicy came out of it. Nothing about Dimple Kapadia, nothing about Isha Deol, like nothing about Dharmendra's second marriage or anything like that. Like not even like talking about equations in the family that they all really went over really quickly.
Yeah, it was kind of swept under the carpet, right? Very swiftly, like, oh, Isha and what's her sister's name? They are
Ahana.
no, they're all both family, and that will never change. And that
Yeah.
was it. Yeah.
And they moved on. It's not even like, with Arjun Kapoor, when he came on, he got a bit of a grilling, about how he felt about things and his equation with his stepsisters and all that. Sunny and Bobby got none of that. So, yeah. It wasn't a bad episode. I actually enjoyed it. But maybe it's because I don't hear them talk like Sujoy was saying, So,
Yeah. Have
also,
you seen the promos for the upcoming episodes?
yes.
It's
Have you
got like Karina and Rani in an episode together. I think that's the only one that I caught. Uh, and there are more
No, it's
people, I believe.
Kajol and Rani in the same episode, I think.
It's Alia and Karina.
Yeah.
We are all wrong.
Would be Khandaan, right? If we didn't have our facts straight.
Yeah.
I did see the promo, and I think it's a good way to release it slightly late when the season is going. So I think Sara Ali Khan is in there too with Ananya, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Amrita?
Speaking of like Arjun Kapoor, did you guys hear about the Lady Killer? An
Yes.
almost incomplete movie just getting a release and only 500 people having watched it. Like it earned like 33,000 rupees or something, which is like
Jesus,
less than 300 pounds.
I didn't even know that it was releasing.
Yeah, so the trailer dropped like 3 days ago, and like before the release, and apparently, like a lot of portions of the movie have a voiceover and graphics to explain what the plot happens.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
This is nuts.
But I saw the trailer after we recorded, and I kind of made a note like let's talk about this on the next show, because I thought the trailer looked really intriguing, and I thought this is actually the kind of like role I like Arjun Kapoor doing, like very negative, like kind of shades, and he's also kind of playing like a kind of a playboy where he's sleeping with older ladies. So I just thought that was kind of like a cool vibe that the trailer had. And then immediately 2 days later, that news dropped that they're releasing it unreleased. Unfinished. So yeah, 30. That's not even the budget of a leather jacket, man. Like
No.
like 300. Like it's crazy. And like I have this thing that I think Bhumi Pednekar usually does good work. So I think it's a shame. I also wonder, like, of a movie like this that hasn't even shot completely, is it even interesting for a streamer to buy then? Like who would buy a movie like that? So maybe this is one of those movies that will just get lost and nobody will ever get to watch because it won't get a home release, it won't get a streaming thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's odd, right?
Yeah. Apparently they got the budget and then they siphoned away the money, and the director was not left with enough money to finish it. And then they sort of, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but that's the theory.
Somebody's taking lessons from Warner Brothers. Basically, that's what's happening. Just make a movie, don't release it.
Yeah.
A few other trailers and things came out this week, though, that of movies that will hopefully be completing and releasing. The first one was Dunki. That we were Dunki, I think that's how you pronounce it. I think I figured it out now. Lots of buzz, lots of hype. Amrita, what did you think of the Dunki teaser?
Or drop one.
Drop one
Yeah.
and two, yeah.
Look, Hirani films are not really for me. Okay, like the humor is not like my humor. So it never lands for me the way that it lands for 90% of India, right? And 95% of China, apparently. But for me, what really connects in a Hirani film is always the pathos, like like whatever the tragedy is, or like how human beings undergo tragedy but like are able to meet it with humor and like come out on the other side with fellowship and friendship. That is like a sort of reinforcement in our humanity and our bonds together, right? That is what I react to, and that is what works best for me in a Hirani film. And obviously, like in your first teaser of your movie, that's not what you're going to get. So this teaser was not meant for me, but having watched it, I can tell you right now it's going to be a hit. Like,
Mm.
this is exactly the kind of thing, like everything that you want in a Hirani film, if you love a Hirani film, is in this teaser. And I know like people have been making noises about the way Shahrukh looks, which is very uncanny valley for sure. And like I've said this before, but a pox on the person who first introduced de-aging filters to Shahrukh. But I have to trust the process. Like, it can't be that both Shahrukh and Rajkumar Hirani went blind and weren't aware of what they were doing. Um,
Can I refer you to Anushka Sharma's wig? Just in talking about people being blind in both Sanju and in PK. So there have been, yeah. Go ahead.
so I don't know what the deal is with that, but then Shahrukh's been on fire since his birthday. He's been like, like being shady on Twitter. And one of the things he did was like he responded to all the criticisms about the look indirectly. And he was just like, look, we all look exactly the way that Hirani envisioned us. So shut the up and like wait for the next drops. So yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's a successful teaser in that it's gotten everybody talking. That's what a
Hmm.
teaser is supposed to accomplish, and I think like it's done that.
How was it for you, Sujo?
Yeah, I mean, it has the signature Raju Hirani and Abhijat Joshi humor in it, like that particular scene in the teaser where the Sardar is saying, "If I keep on thinking about London, the next time I think about London, meri dadi mar jayegi." And the
That was
next
so
scene is
funny.
it's like typical Raju Hirani humor, right? To address death with a comic like situation. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what a Raju Hirani movie will bring in a Shah Rukh Khan sort of a universe, because that has never happened. That collaboration is going to be very, very exciting to see. And it will also be exciting to see what China can bring to the Shah Rukh fandom. So I'm looking forward to that.
You guys are both mentioning this China fandom thing. I don't think there's a China fandom for Hirani. I think there's a China fandom for Amir. So unless I'm mistaken, right?
The China fandom for Amir is built off the Hirani films that
Yeah.
were released in China.
But Dangal was a huge thing for them. That's not a Hirani movie, right? Like,
Not
and
Dangal, but like it started with Three Idiots. Like that
yeah,
is their the
yeah,
holy
that's their
grail.
way in, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I've not heard of Shah Rukh's success in China. Because Amrita,
Shah Rukh hasn't
yeah,
had a release in China yet.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because even you and me were talking about something about China on WhatsApp, about the release and stuff like that. And I don't think like Shah Rukh is a brand in China the way Amir is. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if this will get a release. Like the things have changed since the Dangal era. Like I don't. I've not heard of Lal Singh Chadda getting a massive boost or anything like that either in China, right? So I
Has
don't know.
Lal Singh Chadda released in China?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think so.
RRR and all did, right? If I'm not
As
mistaken,
far as
Japan.
no, Japan, yeah.
Yeah, that was Japan.
RRR will never get released in China because it deals with themes of revolution.
Right.
China's not gonna have that. Um, the Chinese government is very, very, very careful about the kind of content that with foreign content, like content in general, including their own, but also like foreign content that plays in China is very specific. It has to be something that is very denatured, very general, but aspirational, and like mummy daddy kind of films.
Yeah.
And that is what Rajkumar Hirani makes.
Mm.
So I don't know what the story is of Dunki, but we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. I love this trailer. I thought like I really vibe with Raju Hirani's comedy and his movies. I love them, and I thought this was exactly because it's been a while since his last movie came out, and it wasn't like the typical Hirani movie Sanju, right? It was kind of like more of a biopic, and I didn't like it that much as the other ones. But this kind of brings you back to, like, let's say old school Hirani, right? And that really worked for me. I also like the kind of the cast that they have together. Vicky Kaushal. I didn't know Vicky Kaushal was in there, but I think that's really cool for Vicky Kaushal. Taapsee, I knew. What's funny?
It's really cool for Vicky Kaushal.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude is making good moves, man. Like, he got married to Katrina. He's got, like, Hirani movie coming out. He's working out with Chris Kenton. Like, a lot of good things are happening for Vicky. It's good for him. I remember, like, I don't know if I've told you guys this. I interviewed him for that serial killer movie he made with Nawaz. What was it called? The Raman Raghav.
Yeah.
It was literally like the second or third movie he was making. Like, he was just off of his Masan hype.
Masan phase, yeah.
And I remember telling him, like, do you realize how, like, at that time when I used to do an interview, I used to, like, tweet out, like, do you have any questions and things like that? And the most comments I got was, like, how hot he is. Like, women found him so hot. And I told him that, like, do you realize how hot women find you? And he was, like, very humble and, like, thankful about it. And then the dude ends up marrying Katrina Kaif. Like something that I said, like, stuck in his brain, like, yeah, I can do more, I can climb the mountains of hotness here, So yes, I am happy for him. Taapsee's in there. My only fear is comedy Shahrukh is not my favorite Shahrukh. Like, a very broad comedy kind of like thing is not my favorite Shahrukh. And I fear Raju Hirani's sensibilities with Shahrukh's broad comedy might not be my jam. But everything else, I'm on board for. Is Taapsee is...
Go ahead. I was just thinking about that, actually, about how Indian cinema in general doesn't seem to appreciate the value of a straight man, and how, like, Shahrukh is actually really good when he's playing the straight man, but he almost does it like, I don't think he understands that it's comedy acting. I don't get it. Like, the bits that were funny in Happy New Year, which was a terrible film, like, we all know that, but the parts that were funny with Shahrukh were when he was playing the straight man to Deepika. Like, Deepika was, like, hamming up and he was just being her foil, and that was actually funny. So I don't know if they'll bring that back for this one, but I really hope. Yeah, you are absolutely right. Like, broad comedy Shahrukh is not my favorite Shahrukh at all.
Although, on the other hand, I do feel that I have a general more, in a way, I'm more fond of Shahrukh even more than I was before, just because we hadn't had him for so long, right? So even the things that weren't working for me are now working for me. My daughter has suddenly gotten obsessed with that little reel of that little short clip from Chennai Express where Deepika wakes up in the night and then she
Yes.
does that. Yeah, she's been obsessed with it. She's been watching it non-stop. And there's a sequence where Deepika kicks Shahrukh on the floor and Shahrukh starts saying, China Murel ho gayi. China Murel ho gayi. And that just landed, like, 7 years later or 8 years later. I've been just laughing at it so much. So this is clearly where something that didn't work for me before is now really working for me. I do have a question for you guys. Is there something that might there be something called Shahrukh fatigue that will come into the box office? Do you think that might happen or not?
Not this year.
No?
No.
This year is like Shahrukh bonanza.
Yeah.
People can't get enough of this man. I had that same thought, right? Like, before Jawan came out, because I was like, what is happening? But then, no, like, people are insane. And not just, I sent you guys that tweet, I think, like, on Twitter. It's not even just like Indians. It's like random Americans. Like, people are like deranged right now. Like, it's wild to me, the way people are reacting to him. I don't know. There's something in the water this year.
What's he working on next year? What's after that?
I have no idea.
Because I literally don't know. Okay.
Yeah. I know he's doing a movie with Suhana that's going to be directed by Sujoy Ghosh.
Right.
I don't
And
know
the
when
tiger,
that is going.
whatever Pathan tiger thing that he's doing, right?
Yeah,
Like that's what he's
yeah,
probably working on. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm waiting for the trailer and I'm waiting for the movie. You know, it's gonna be fast. It's gonna come here quite fast, right? Christmas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
there's going to be so many movies in between now and Christmas because it's just such a packed slate that, yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Sujoy? Like, you're our resident Shahrukh expert. Do you think
Uh,
this going to be Shahrukh fatigue?
Not for me. I can't speak for everybody else, but like judging by how much people are celebrating his birthday and the SRK universe buzz leading up to the week of his birthday, uh, I think there is an active movement, a tangible like fandom that I can see that is carrying this momentum forward. And I don't see it slowing down at least this year or at least even for Tiger 3. They will lose their shit when his cameo comes in that movie.
I think as long as Shahrukh, I think there's another thing that Shahrukh has done is what is clever about it is that he has absolutely like shunned the media
Yeah.
Mhm.
and having him only available via like his Twitter and his success meets means that people get to hear directly from him. So there's no like way to misinterpret what he's saying, but also it just like we didn't know what a good thing we had when we had him giving those 2-hour interviews to randos from like Pink Villa and stuff. Like he was so accessible, it was insane. Like he did a podcast with AIB for God's sake.
But that's also the time where I felt his movies weren't good enough, so his
Yeah,
interviews were great. Like now
yeah,
the movies are speaking from themselves, so he doesn't, and he has direct access to us. If he wants to have a 30-minute conversation, he can just upload something on Twitter and reach
yeah,
everybody more than even Pink Villa can. So
yeah.
He's following the Modi model.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And also, like our friend Get Filmy was saying, the Shahrukh fans at the moment, they're the personification of "Apna time aa gaya hai." Like it's not "Apna time aayega," "Apna time aa gaya hai." So let them celebrate. Yeah. A few other teaser. One more teaser that we wanted to talk about is the new, both songs. Actually haven't talked about the Archie songs yet.
Yeah.
Kahani Suno and Vava Voom, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Suno and Kahani Suno. Yeah, both of them came out, and yeah, I mean, have we talked about the Archies yet, or we literally not talked about it at all?
I think just in that we trust Zoya.
Yes, yeah. Sujoy, what did you think of the songs?
I think it's the Suno track. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the DuckTales theme.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah.
It's life is like a hurricane.
Oh wow, I'm never gonna get it out of my head now.
Yeah.
Dude, I got an email from the PR company to visit Ankit Tiwari's studio to talk about the movie. He was like, if I had gone, I would have literally asked him that question. Otherwise, I don't know if it's happened yet.
Yeah,
That's such a good find.
it does remind me. I'm like it's constantly like I wanted to make an edit out of it, like play the drums and the music, and then add in the Ducktales song. There is also like on YouTube you get the Hindi one that we grew up listening to. But yeah, I can't shake it off, the resemblance to the Ducktales theme. The other one, the Vava Boom, it's kind of like the prom song, isn't it? It's cool, I guess. It's very similar to stuff that I've heard like of that era, I think. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just holding everything, all my judgments until I watch the finished product, because I don't know, like Made in Heaven season 2 wasn't as impressive, so I'm kind of doubting what Tiger Baby can produce now. This is
Oh,
a Tiger
wow.
Baby production, right?
Yes, I
Yes.
think so, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I never grew up reading Archie's either, so I don't know.
Hmm.
If it is something that I would like or not. So I'm not sure.
What about you, Amrita?
I feel this movie is going to be a rage with the children. Like
Hmm.
a rage. I remember being like in my late teens and just like really being. It wasn't really the Archie's aesthetic that I was obsessed with, but like the whole thing about, it's a very when you're like a girly girl, you just really like the tiny waists and the big poofy skirts. Like that's just an aesthetic that just appeals to you when you're a girly girl. And I guess when you're, like a teenage boy that wants to be cool, then you want your leather jackets and the slick back hair. Like these are like very classic themes, right?
Hmm.
And the songs are, and also the choreography is like very different from everything that we see in Hindi cinema today. It is completely different. I haven't seen anybody do the jive since like, I don't know, the 90s, I think. Like this whole like high school prom or college prom, people doing the jive. Like it's just not something that we've seen in a very long time. And these are like very good looking young people who are doing
Yeah.
it. And they're wearing like really pretty clothes and they're having fun and they're comfortable on screen.
Yes.
That is the thing that I really noticed, because we've had so many newcomers debuting over the past few years who all of them look like kind of style giraffes when they're trying to dance on screen. And these kids are having like a really great time. Like in Wawa Voom, where you have these really complicated tracking shots where the camera is like moving through the crowd, and it's a very like Zoya Akhtar kind of song construction. And these kids are nailing it. They're
Yes.
absolutely nailing it. And they're having fun while they're nailing it. And I loved it.
I almost saw when I saw both of these teaser or songs. I was like, Tiger Baby should almost like spin off into like a acting prep school studio kind of thing, like Whistling Woods, because they have prepared these nepo babies so well. Like they could not have a better school to kind of have a launch, right? And
Yeah.
like we've had all of the era of the second generation launches, the Abhisheks and the Karinas and all that, and they were all raw except for Ritik. I feel, like all of them had like it was a very shaky start, and even though they had prepared horse riding and whatever else they used to prepare, it's not on the level of all what you're seeing with Suhana and all of these other actors, right? And I mean, obviously, like they have they pass through a casting session where they have talent, I'm assuming, that they could work with, and a lot of them even have star quality, and it already shows, and that is just amazing. Like I think Suhana is clearly a star, uh,
Isn't she?
such a star. And even the guy that's playing Archie's, what's his name, Agastya Nanda, is that
Yeah. Yeah.
star, like he, like I love the Archies. I love the comics. I loved even the cartoons. Like they used to have these
Mm-hmm.
animated cartoons, and in the
Mm-hmm.
cartoons they always used to have like a musical interlude where they
Yes.
would play a song which would be super catchy and very kind of happy and jivey. And then sometimes they would even have they would explain how to do a dance step, like this is how you do a dance, like a mashed potato or whatever else in the 60s they were saying. But and all of those vibes come through in these song promos, and that is such a niche thing. They're not only going after the comics, they're not going after the vibe of the 60s, but specifically those cartoons. I thought that was just amazing, like Archie is, he is the star of the school, he is lucky, or whatever you want to call it, he's the guy that every girl wants to be with. And I think that is really well portrayed by Agastya. And for a newcomer, that is something pretty cool. I do feel that Vava Voom reminded me a bit of Bhamre from Lag by
Mm-hmm.
Chance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's kind of a circular tent situation, and the way they're dancing, it did bring me back a little bit of, yeah, this is what Zoya likes to do. But it's, man, just the production design, yeah, like it's so impressive. Like, every piece of clothing, every piece of hair, every piece of styling, it is just so accurate but still modern. It feels really cool. It's a really, really cool vibe. I'm really excited for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, Zoya does like that particular construction for her songs. There's like Bhavre, but there's also the song from Dil Dharakne Do. Like,
Yeah.
she likes it. She
Yes.
likes taking the camera in as a audience perspective. Yeah, I've been a little off Zoya of late because I need to really stop watching her interviews, because she gives some of the worst interviews that I've ever seen in my life. She's just terrible in her interviews. But I think that's just an Akhtar family trait. But she knows how to make a movie. And
Yeah.
I am absolutely looking forward to the Archies.
Great. Well, it's coming out the 7th of December.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
Yeah, so
wonder
tomorrow.
if.
Oh,
Sorry?
December.
December,
Yes.
yeah. So, I wonder if it will break Netflix servers. Remember when Luke Cage dropped and the servers broke? I don't know if you remember that, but that was like a big thing. So maybe we can happen again with the Archies. I don't think so, but let's see. I also wonder if this will cross over. That's one of my questions too.
Yeah.
Being on Netflix and having such lush design, will it cross over? Because, like you were mentioning about Shahrukh fandom, right? Like, I saw that tweet that you mentioned, but it is about very much like people wanting a new RRR kind of action from India, right? This is not that. This is like romance and teeny boppers and song and dance, and that usually doesn't translate as easily as action does, So who knows? Who knows? Oh, you guys saw the kill, is it Killer, that got acquired by Lionsgate? No, what's it
Yeah.
called?
Yeah.
The
Kill.
yeah. It
Yeah.
got acquired by Lionsgate, which is a Hollywood producer and distributions company, which is like a very big thing. It's a very big
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is like the perfect movie for them to pick up, because there is a demand for Indian action, and apparently the action is really, really good. That's what everybody has been saying about that movie. So that is an easier avenue to cross over than teeny bopper Archie thing. And also because I think Riverdale was such a big success, but this is absolutely not Riverdale. This is like the opposite of Riverdale. So I don't know, but Amrita, like you said, like kids are going to go crazy for this. My daughter has literally been asking me about when this movie is going to be dropping since they announced it, basically. So
See,
she's
that's what I was going to ask you. Like, if your daughter, because she's a preteen, and I assume that this is entirely in her wheelhouse, and she's going to be a very good indicator of how kids are going to react to this.
And you know what's funny? Like, she veers towards Suhana, like automatically. Like, I've told her this is Shah Rukh's daughter, but that doesn't mean as much to her as it does for, us, I guess. But she's just like, Suhana's so pretty and Suhana's so nice, and look at her dress and look at this and look at how she's roller skating. So something about a star can transcend any nepotism, anything like that. But you know me, I'm pro nepotism. I was thinking about this, like, I'm pro nepotism. Like, the thing is with nepotism kids, at least they are allowed to have fun on screen. Non-nepotism get killed, get raped, get assaulted like they're ghareeb. They're like, that's like how they have to enter
On screen.
screen. Like, it's just one misery after the other. Pro nepotism, 60s, we're having milkshakes like Baba Voom,
I think one of the few people who figured that out was Ranbir Kapoor, which is why he has such an interesting filmography. Because when you're Ranbir Kapoor, you're already born on third base. Like, you don't need to work for money.
Mhm.
And I think like he understood that from the get-go, and that's
Mhm.
why, even especially in his early years, he was clearly just taking films that he found interesting and
Yeah.
making that work for him. And I think that's what Deol was also doing, where these are like people who like really gamed it out for themselves, and I have a lot
Mhm.
of respect for them because of that. And I hope like this new batch of nepo babies. I mean, it's literally the Bachchans, the Kapoors, and the Khans. Like, what? Are you insane?
Yeah.
So I hope like these kids also understand the privileges that they've been given,
It's
and
season 16 of nepotism.
I know, like I would be so disappointed if they decided to make, I don't know, like Doom 4 or something. Like I wish they'd do
That would be
something better.
like them to do. I'm like totally on board. But it was funny, like there was a like everybody was wishing Shahrukh, and I think it was Siddharth that wished him, I think, and Shahrukh replied, "Thank you, beta." And I was just like, yeah, like, okay, I have dad vibes, obviously, because I'm a dad. And I was like, I just want these kids to do well, I feel like they're like my kids, Shahrukh ke bache, like that kind of thing. I just want the best for them, And I think, yeah, I think that's how we should, like, unless, I mean, of a certain age, so I can have those feelings. But I just want good things to happen to these little bunnies, I just want good things. Yeah, I'm
Are
excited
you
for it.
saying these kids are your Janashins?
Oh my god.
That is for a next episode. That is, oh my god. I have so many notes for Janashin, guys. It's gonna be a fun one. Really excited for
I
it.
started the movie taking notes on my phone, and then I started writing them down on, on my notepad.
I don't think I've ever had this much, but we're going ahead of it ourselves. Janashin is a future episode that's coming out because it was a Patreon request. If you want to sign up to Patreon and request some movies, you could do that by I'll add the show notes below. $1 you can get access to extra content, and we're also doing a Tiger series retrospective. So the Tiger 1 episode should have already dropped. Tiger 2 is coming, and then we'll finish this off with Tiger 3, which will be on the main feed. Everybody can listen to that. But if you want to hear our thoughts on the first two Tigers, you have to sign up to Patreon for $1. One more thing I think I want to talk about. I watched Kennedy at the London Indian Film Festival, and it was then there was a Q&A with our dear friend Ashanti Omkar, who had a really fun, like, how are your feelings about Q&As in general? Because I don't like them. I get really annoyed with them. I get
It
secondhand
depends who's
embarrassment.
the MC. It depends who is the
Yeah.
MC, right? Most of the ones that I've attended in London have been quite like embarrassing, to be honest. It's like cringe questions, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because if the MC is an MC, the audience is a BC, like.
yeah, pretty much. Wow. Last episode you
Oh
went with
wow.
last episode Asim made a number one and number two joke, and this time it's a BCMC. Yeah.
I'm giving you all the hits. Yeah, I'm giving you all.
Mhm.
No, but it's really like I find it really horrible to listen to because I don't like listening to people that I don't want to listen to. I have to
Yeah.
like sit and like ये question नहीं है comment है. I really loved you. That kind of thing. I was like, dude, like just ask the question beyond. Go.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kennedy. This movie I was really looking forward to. You guys have heard of it, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. We've seen the teaser with Sunny Leone laughing in the lift, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of the teaser?
Yeah, it was edited perfectly. I think it leaves a lot of questions unanswered. Makes me more excited to watch the movie about what happens in the movie. It looks very violent,
Hmm.
and yeah, those are my thoughts.
What about you, Amrita? What did you think of the teaser?
I think it's intriguing. I want to see more of it.
I really enjoyed the teaser, and I've been really I don't know more than any other movie for a while. I'm not. I like Anurag Kashyap as a filmmaker, but I've not been excited for his movies for a while. And this
Mhm.
one got me excited again, probably also because I was having FOMO, because it had a release at TIFF and it's been doing the festival rounds, and there's no general release announced. So I was like, I just want to watch this movie. Plus, I also wanted to see Sunny Leone do something different. I was really intrigued by the little teaser and her working with Anurag and stuff like that. Watching this movie, I have to say, it had nothing to do what I thought this movie was going to be about. First of all, I thought this was like a Bombay Velvet movie set in the past, and it's absolutely not. It's set in lockdown, when COVID was happening and lockdown was happening. And weirdly enough, it reminded me of that Shahid Kapoor
Bloody
movie,
Daddy.
Bloody Daddy,
Yeah.
where also it had this idea of the world went crazy during lockdown, and India went insane, and it became like a lawless land where anything went, and there was no moral quandaries or anything like that. And that's what the movie is in a way about. This movie, guys, is so nihilistic and so devoid of any hope that it's a very tough watch. And the one question that people in the audience were asking us was basically, give us hope, give us some resolution. And Anurag Kashyap was, I do not want to do that because I don't have any hope. I wrote this in one of the darkest periods of my life. I had a heart attack. I was going through depression. I was being silenced because of my opinions on Twitter. And this is
Mhm.
when I wrote this movie, and I shot it in 30 days. And it shows, all of that shows. If you But I think also for me personally, with what's going on in the world at the moment, this perfectly with me, because I
Mhm.
am kind of a nihilistic, hopeless kind of person to a certain degree, where I don't think, like, I went to the Palestine march yesterday in London, and
Mhm.
I felt it was important to be there. And my wife is French, so going to marches is part of her DNA. She
Mhm.
has to do it. Like, I cannot say no to biryani, she cannot say no to a march. So we wanted to go. And there was chants going on. I mean, first of all, it was very peaceful. I didn't see any anti-Semitism or anything that I would feel bad about, or anything that I would have to call about. That a lot of the media are portraying that a lot of these
Yeah.
things are happening. It didn't happen. We saw a lot of it. We were there at least for 4 hours. I didn't see any of things, but I also just felt that it was useless. That I
Yeah.
was there. There was this feeling in my mind that I am here, I'm trying what I can, but whatever I can do is useless, because the powers that are in power are not listening to us, and they have not
Yeah.
listened to us for the last 20 years. And it's just getting worse and worse, because we see it happening. We see it in France with the Gilets jaunes a couple of years ago. We saw it with the lockdowns. We saw it back in Occupy Wall Street when we were
Yeah.
younger. We saw it happening then. We saw it now happening with Palestine, where clearly all of the world is on one side and the governments are on the other side, and the governments
Yeah.
are doing what they want to do. And
Like 129 countries voted in favor of ceasefire at the UN, and UN Jhakumar.
yeah,
It's supposed to be the coalition of the countries making policies, and this helplessness is seeping in because you see the voice of the people, of the normal people, being calling for peace, calling for ceasefire, calling for justice, calling for a stopping of this violence that has killed so many innocent lives. And yet there are people who are like, I saw a video of it was an audio bite. Basically, I think it was a very higher CEO kind of a guy of a arms dealing private firm, talking about the profit numbers that are going to surge because of the war that is going to happen.
yeah.
It's just like, what would you do with all that money if the world doesn't exist?
I'm going to give like an investing tip that is so dark. I saw this on TikTok, and
Hmm.
it's so dark, but it illustrates the world we live in. And this
Yeah.
guy was saying that if you see that a country is sending arms to the Ukraine, or they're sending arms to Israel, just buy shares of that company, and
Yeah.
the shares will go up. That's the level of cynicism we're at on TikTok Reels. So if And I think that is a illustration of how we have been living, where the governments do not care. They will kill and bomb children in masses, and we just have to look at it every day, the tragedy, and we cannot do anything. The most we can do is go to a march. Yeah.
I will say that I've had this feeling before.
Hmm.
And I would say that after listening to what the Palestinians have said, that feeling is not helpful. Like, that feeling is not doing anything for the Palestinians. Because the whole point is that we can't help the Palestinians because of all the reasons that you said. Because the people that we vote for are not doing what we ask them to do, right? But the point is that they are still alive and they have persisted in the face of unimaginable odds for decades. And that is the story of all the oppressed people who have continued to ask for nothing except for us to witness it. And that is why I always say that witnessing injustice is crucial, but it is soul destroying because it immediately acquaints you with how insignificant you are in the grander scheme of things and how helpless you are as an individual person. But going out for something like the protest marches that you went to, Asim, like that is sending two messages. Like, one is that you are telling your governments that, you know, the people that vote for them, who put them in power, are going to hold them to account, because nobody is voting for Labour. Nobody is going to vote for the Democrats next year. Like, you know, there are elections at stake, and they're pretty much screwed, as you can see from like a lot of the stuff chatter that's coming out on social media right now. And the other thing is that you are telling the people who are oppressed that their suffering is not, it's not disappearing into a void, that there are people who will remember them. Because I'm not going to forget this. Like, are you going to forget it? Like, none of us are going to
Okay.
forget it. You know, like, we're going to remember this till the day we die. And sometimes that is honestly like the act of witnessing. Because I have a friend, a very close friend of many years, who worked in the Gaza Strip. And she was telling me that they had a group of people whose entire job in Gaza was to just walk kids to school. And they would call themselves, you know, like they were just witnessing it, because these were kids who would get picked up by Israeli forces. And if they didn't have these people with American passports, UK passports, European passports, who were there to witness their behavior, then those kids probably wouldn't get back home that day.
Yeah.
But just the fact that these kids had somebody standing there to witness what was happening to them helped them get through that day alive. So never feel that you're not doing enough by just being a witness. Like, sometimes that is all you can do, but it is important.
I mean, hopelessness and nihilism is inherent to me as a person that I am, but I'm also somebody who doesn't give up, you know, even if I'm like down, like the Rocky syndrome, like I'll keep fighting, you know, I'll keep doing what I can. And that's why I thought it was important to go to this march. But this hopelessness is very prevalent in Kennedy, to come back to that. So it was really vibing with me. I could really feel, but it's hard for me to honestly recommend this movie, because in a way, like, I don't want, if you are a hopeful person, I don't want this hopelessness to overwhelm you, because it is a very dark kind of feeling that not everybody can be as comfortable with. um, I think the performances are really good. The main actor, Rahul Bhatt, he's gotten really, really buff, like really like massive. He was Anurag was mentioning that he gave him a DVD of a Belgian actor, Matthias Sunhart, who was in Bullhead. It's a good movie. I would recommend people watch it, and I think a lot of people have not seen a Belgian movie ever, so Bullhead is a good one to watch. And it's basically this guy. It's about the hormone mafia in Belgium, which they put hormones into cows to make them bigger. But this guy is like injecting this cow hormone in himself to get bigger. So that's, I'm just saying that how big Rahul Bhatt got to kind of, do this role. And it was also just interesting to see Sunny Leone play kind of this femme fatale kind of role. There isn't much of her, but I do think that it's clearly for her, it's a kind of a validation and a role she was hoping for. And I think she does quite well. She has a particular laugh in the movie that will annoy people, I'm sure. But Anurag basically told her to copy Ravina Tandon's laugh. And when he said that, it all basically clicked. Like he said, I don't know if this laugh is a defense mechanism to hide uncomfortable questions. Is it a genuine laughter or is it fake laughter? I don't know. And Sunny was asking me this question like, what am I feeling when I'm doing this laugh? And Anurag basically said, I don't know, I'm not a woman. So that's how basically Anurag was kind of going about this movie. So it's an interesting movie for sure. I think it's a very, very dark movie, but I quite enjoyed it. So I would say if you're like me, Kennedy is a good movie. I think you both would enjoy it if you're in the right mood for it.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out when it's out on mainstream release. I think I don't think there's any other way to watch it now.
Yeah, and I think it's not going to release anytime soon. It's probably going to do more festival rounds. I think it was in Dubai just before he came to London, and he was flying out somewhere else after this. So, and it's also one of those movies that is just kitty litter for critics. Gora critics even. And I think, although it was funny, I was reading some reviews from TIFF, and people like white critics were like, yeah, why do they always try to copy John Wick? And I was like, wow, like misunderstanding a movie from that level is just insane. So it's funny that you are quoting like a non-Desi audience, but they might come in with like completely wrong expectations to watch your movie and then end up just getting disappointed. So I thought that was kind of a funny thing. Okay. That's it for this episode. If you are a patron, we'll be doing our Tiger Zinda Hai episode now. So you can join us for that. Otherwise, I think the next one will be Tiger 3. It's happening, guys. Next episode is going to be Tiger 3. I'm so super excited for it. Amrita, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter for the time being, as well as Blue Sky at Amrita IQ.
Sujoy?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at 9E3K. And you can also follow Khandaan Podcast on our socials at Khandaan Podcast.
I'm at Asim Bernie. Drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being a patron and supporting our work. And we'll be back with a new episode very soon.
Khandaan Podcast और एक्टिंग। Girl, you're my chum,